Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff I Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio.
So, I don't know if I'm the only one who did this, but after the results of the elections of 2024, putting a timestamp as November 2024 for y'all to know, and we are well past the election results, and we are not okay. But with all of that, after getting past the initial sad / for me sleepy morning stage, I started digging into like a type of survival mode, which include for me bread making. Yeah, I bought a bread maker. By the way, I have made 4 different loaves of bread. Thank you successfully. They've been edible. Yes, they've been edible.
That's good.
Hey, that's success. That's success for me.
Okay.
Gardening, or at least plotting to do a garden. I am now invested into looking and actually participating in gardening, which is a weird place for me because I've never cared. Not cared, but I just don't feel like I'll be successful because all my plants die. But at this point, I'm like, I'm going to try. Let's at least, plant a potato. Apparently, that's all year long in Georgia. So we're going to go completely Irish-Scottish and just do potatoes. I could survive on those. And then also really digging into my newest dangerous hobby of punch needling. Thanks, TikTok. Like I saw them doing it and I was like, oh, wait, I get to stab things. I can do that. I think I can do that. And for the record, yes, I have already stabbed myself over 50 times.
Yeah.
But I've only bled a couple of times. So a win is a win. Yes, I punctured my skin about 3 times.
Okay.
But out of 50, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My partner was like, I think we need to sanitize your needles. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Probably.
Fair enough. There's a lot of sharp things, but I've really gotten into them. I've needed something to double task, I guess, or multitask as I was doom scrolling and planning my exit plan just in case I am deported, which has become a real fear, by the way, that I'm trying to plan for. Just in case, if any of our listeners are like immigration, lawyers and want to call me about my naturalization that I've had for over 30 years, but, as a feminist, maybe in danger, especially as an Asian person, because apparently Chinese people are the first one, and we know how well white people do in differentiating. But anyway, so it just seemed like a good time to pick up a new hobby. Again, by the way, I have a lot of coasters that resemble either a scenic view or mushrooms. I'm still in the learning process, Anney.
You've come a long way. You've sent me pictures.
I've sent pictures. What's so funny is the way that it works, one side looks better than the other side, but the one side that looks better is not the side you're supposed to display. Yeah. If you're a punch needler, you know what I'm talking about because the way it loops. But you can do all these different types of designs, and I'm figuring that out. Y'all, I'm figuring this out. I've got a lot of coasters unnecessarily because we don't have that much surface space. But hey, my partner has like 15 of them on his small desk now.
Very prolific.
You'll be getting some as
options.
Well. It's true. And you'll be getting some as well. And Katie, too, our friend who comes over and the dog says, I'm like, you have to take some coasters home. They don't look great, but just take them home. Anyway, yes, a lot of us, I think, are in need of some type of stress relief that comes from finding hobbies. And of course, we have some studies that back us in this conversation. So here's some information from connecthealth.org about it. It actually reduces stress. And here's a quote. Hobbies are a perfect way to distract yourself after a busy day. It provides you with the opportunity to have some me time and gives you an outlet for releasing stress built up from the day. In a recent survey on stress and well-being conducted by the Australian Psychological Society, 4 in 5 participants found activities like listening to music and spending time on a hobby was an effective way of managing stress. So take time out of your busy day to start painting or go outside and take some photos. You don't have to. This is just suggestions. And from WebMD.com, keeping yourself engaged during your leisure time lowers your stress levels. Research found that adults who take out time to practice art found the time they spent to be relaxing, enjoyable, and helpful. They also shared that the sessions led to an increased desire to continue improving their skills. More importantly, the cortisol levels of the participants who took part in this study was measured before and after these sessions. The study found that there was a noticeable decrease in cortisol levels after the sessions. Cortisol is the human stress hormone, and your body's stress level is linked to a spike in cortisol levels. So hey, there's proof. Do your activities. It improves your mental health also. So again, from connecthealth.org, engaging in creative activities such as songwriting, knitting, visual art, and musical performance have all been shown to increase positive moods. Particularly engaging in such activities has resulted in an upward spiral of increased well-being in many young adults. Young adults, y'all hearing me? Students found that more time spent towards creative activities produce more positive emotions. Additionally, creative activities allow you to expand neural connections in your brain. This has been linked to the release of feel-good hormones such as dopamine. Spending as little as 2 hours per week on a task you enjoy, such as music or photography, can help you lead a more positive life. And again, back to the WebMD article, having a hobby leads to improved mental health. If your hobby involves physical activity, it'll lead to reduced stress and a lower blood pressure and heart rate. A study that measured both positive and negative psychological stress found that those who took time frequently to do leisure activities that they enjoyed had lower blood pressure, waist circumference, and BMI. Taking your physical activity outdoors, or better still, closer to nature, has many benefits such as improved mood and better focus. You can achieve this by spending just 10 minutes outdoors. Another study found that those who took part in physical activities went through fewer days of poor mental health compared to those who did not exercise. Meanwhile, challenging your brain by taking up intellectually rewarding activities not only helps improve your brain activity, but also increases your confidence. Learning new skills such as woodcrafting or quilting also helps you contribute to people's lives by sharing your expertise with others. So many great things. I did look at quilting. I wondered if I could do that, but that just felt like too much investing.
I have a friend who it's Katie, but not the other Katie that we were talking about, who quilts. And she's shown me like designs and then told me how long it's going to take her to do it. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's intense.
Yeah, but she's given me, she made me a scarf, which was not quilting. And I love it. So it is true. It's a nice thing when your friend gets a hobby and you get a little, I'll love your coasters.
I was going to say, it could be a nice thing if they're good at it.
Yeah, but I feel like if you're really good friends with someone, and you already know I'm really sentimental, I'll just be like, Samantha loves me, even if it's you just being like, please take this.
You have mushrooms now for a coaster. It's not very steady. Don't use it.
I love it. If it's not functional, that's even better.
Pseudo-functional. I've been testing it out. With all these good things and why we need these things, there's also that small caveat. It seems women are less likely to have as many hobbies as men. In fact, some even argue, some men, that women shouldn't have hobbies. I guess women too, because, women sometimes just fall into that, we need to be taking care of our husbands, not having hobbies type of conversation. And I say that very pointedly at a specific group of women. And spoiler alert, it's also because women don't have as much free time. Here's a bit from an article written in fashionjournal.com.au by Maddie McCown. She says, according to the ABS's latest Time U survey, we girly pops don't get afforded the same amount of luxurious leisure time. We're spending an extra hour per day on unpaid domestic work than our male counterparts, and it takes an unfair piece of our free time pie. So as the pink tax stabs us in the back yet again and bites into our free time, the pastime divide starts to make itself clear. So here's some more information from a 2017 article from telegraph.co.uk. So the Telegraph. Women spend less time on hobbies because their hours are taken up by housework and childcare. Analysis of ONS's data suggests the first ever analysis of leisure time carried out by the Office for National Statistics has found that men spend around half an hour every week more than women enjoying themselves. And the gap is even larger when it comes to hobbies. men spend an average of 4 hours and 39 minutes every week on hobbies, computing, and games, while women spend just 2 hours and 38 minutes on the same activities. Overall, men spent 6 hours and 9 minutes per day on leisure pursuits compared to 5 hours and 29 minutes spent by women. But of course, there are those who are saying women don't have hobbies or their hobbies aren't hobbies, which is odd in general. So again, from thatfashionjournal.com, the topic for discussion as we entered part 2 of this gender hobby dissection is, drumroll please, value. As the writer mentioned, there are few fun activities she considers to be her hobbies, but their merit has often been questioned. Then she talks about some of the things that she does, but it's the activities that tend to be met with, that's not a hobby, from the men in her life. As female hobbies are devalued, the consequence is women and girls are less likely to talk about them. But, let's keep it optimistic, she says. Just because our hobbies can be criticized and dismissed, it's not like we don't have them. It's true. In another article from the Virago, Charity Turkula writes about the fact that not only do women not have, quote, real hobbies, but if they do, they're ruining it. Yes, she was being sarcastic. So, like many others, my eyes first opened with a clip from the Good Bro, Bad Bro podcast, which went viral in 2022. I can remember the exact moment I heard him utter the words, "How many girls do you know who actually have hobbies?" A horrified gasp escaped my mouth. My crochet hook plummeted to the floor. Dread washed over me. It was true. I'd never had a hobby. However, the sentiment is neither new nor novel. Whistleblowers have been trying to get through to the masses for years, but no one was ready to listen. No one was ready to learn that the female race is void of any personal interests, at least of substance. And she continues, unlike women, men actually have real hobbies. These superior pastimes include watching movies, buying smartphones, and looking at cars. I have never, ever seen a car. Maybe that's why I keep getting into accidents. But this can't really be true, can it? Because it is in fact well documented that women like to charge their phone, twerk, be bisexual, eat hot chips, and lie. So why can't my girl math make sense of this equation? Right. So obviously all of these are very sarcastic in nature and talking about the fact that men just don't believe women have hobbies. And to be fair, I fell into that my own self because I'm like, I need to find a hobby because I don't do enough stuff. I just sit here.
Well, we talked about this too because I also have a strangeness around saying I have a hobby, but it's less that they don't feel like hobbies to me. And it is this though, because to me, like when I think of hobby, I think of like, oh, you made like a Lego, like you do Legos or something. I don't know. Like I just have a very specific thing that comes to my head. I would put like crocheting and stuff in there. Absolutely.
Right.
But the stuff I do should also be in there too. So I think there is a strangeness around what we're allowing to be a hobby.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's such a hilarious conversation. But again, so the same author addresses the fact that when women start to become interested in quote unquote real hobbies, they aren't doing it right, or they're just plain ruining it, including the sacred of all sacred hobbies, gaming. We know, and we've talked about this. So she writes, not many people know this, but the problem in Genesis wasn't that Eve took an apple from the tree of knowledge. It's the fact that she had the audacity to turn the MacBook on, download Tetris, and crush Adam every time he reached a new high score. For this, women received the curse of painful childbirth and the duty of homemaking so that they would be too busy to even think about video games. Men, on the other hand, would have to compensate for Adam's embarrassment with manual labor to prove their masculinity and motivate them to get good once they return to the man cave. But this vital lesson has long been forgotten, and modern gaming has been flooded with women once again. Yeah, she's talking about the fact that women ruin gaming. Yes, we've talked about this many times. Of course, you already know our opinion in that specific manner. I think it's hilarious that this is that conversation, either that women's hobbies are not real hobbies, but once they do things that men are interested in, they're bad at it, or they're ruining it, or they're making, they don't really know about, they don't really know about this. Yeah. They're faking it. Right?
Especially if you're good. Yeah. Like they're all fine to be like, oh, she knows how to play Halo. And then you kick his at Halo. Suddenly, she is the worst person. She needs to never want to see her again.
Can't touch my games. Don't touch my games.
You
and
don't
then
know.
they throw the games against the wall.
They break their TV.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, you gotta love it. So, with all of that, let us know about your hobbies. How are you distressing, taking breaks or multitasking while trying to figure out how to survive in this moment? How has it helped you? Do you have suggestions for us? And of course, do you have advice on how to stop injuring myself with my new hobbies? Also, any good recipes for my bread maker, because I need that too.
Yes. And again, I will happily take the bread of your hobby. Yes, listeners, we would love to hear from you about this. I know you all get up to a bunch of amazing stuff. So please write in. You can email us at stuffydmomstuff@iheartmedia.com. You can find us on Twitter at momstuffpodcast or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff I'll Never Told You. We're also on YouTube. We have a TeePublic store, and we have a book you can get wherever you get your books. Thanks, as always, to our super producer, Christina, executive producer, Maya, and our contributor, Joey.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff I've Never Told You is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.